Good Wednesday morning. This is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. I just want to run you through real quick what we should expect for today with the transition from rain and warmth to some snow and cold. Here's a look at regional radar, and you can see this intense low pressure hanging out just out over the Illinois-Iowa border with a strong surge of warmth ahead of it. We're in the mid 50s right now at about 620. 40s by the time you get to the Indiana Illinois state line, and then 30s and 20s back behind it. Heavy snow falling up across Wisconsin and Minnesota with some 8 to 10 inch snowfalls going on up there. The other thing I'll point out on this as we look at some storm reports is on the back side of this, you can see how tightly packed these isobars are, and we're seeing non-thunderstorm wind gusts. There's one at 64 in southwestern Illinois or southwestern Iowa, another one at 52 in northern Missouri, another one at 49 in Missouri. So we've got some gusty winds that most of that will track off to our northwest, but we will get very windy as we get around on. It's pretty breezy now, but as we get on the backside of this, it will become more intense. Zooming in a little bit here, we're looking at some cells that are coming up and we'll be heading up. So we'll get another dose of rain here pretty soon. Some heavier rain back here that'll affect the area later this morning. And then again, as we get into the evening, that'll transition to some snow. So here's a look at the NAM 3K. You can kind of see what we were just looking at on radar. Although there is there are some storm cells down here that weren't being picked up really by a lot of the simulated radars. So no, there's going to be more rain across Indiana than what this is indicating. This is by 7 a.m. So there's a little bit more rain coverage, but we can see the general track. We've got this low pressure that then begins to move off to the northeast, and snow begins to wrap around. Now, how tightly this wraps around will affect snow impacts later on this evening. But here we are as we're getting into the early afternoon hours. We got some heavy rain. The temperatures are beginning to drop. I mean, we're dropping down well into the 40s by this point, lower 40s, maybe even upper 30s by this point. And then as we move on into the evening, the NAM 3K has the initial punch of snow staying just to our south. So there may be a little bit heavier snow down here, and I use heavy light very lightly. And then as we get on into the evening, and into the overnight hours, then we could see a little more widespread snowfall into the early morning hours. So that's kind of the NAM 3K look at it. We'll take a look at kind of what its simulated snowfall amount is. We can see that the NAM 3K is putting down the heavier snowfall amounts again just to our south. We're looking at a half inch to maybe an inch. Again, if it sets up a little bit farther north, some isolated 1 to 2 inch amounts can't be ruled out. If there's sometimes with you get these strong convections and you'll develop some localized bursts. So we have to keep that in mind. On a widespread scale, roads shouldn't be too impacted by snow. My bigger concern for roads will be maybe flash freezing if the roads don't have a chance to dry out. But with the winds being as high as they are, hopefully the roads will dry and we don't have to deal with black ice. Most of the snow accumulation should be on elevated surfaces and on grass if it occurs at all. So we'll just have to wait that out and see how the convection builds up. There's no real way to know that exactly. And then just to show you how the temperatures might play out over the course of the day, again, we're in the 50s, kind of get the surge to the mid 50s that we're experiencing right now. And then this is temperatures begin to fall. By the time we're hitting about mid to late morning, you can see this strong surge right here coming in. So this is at 11 a.m. local time. Muncie might still be hanging out. Anderson, Muncie might still be hanging out around 50 or lower 50s, but southwestern Indiana will be all the way down close to 40. Then that will blast through here as here at 1 o'clock. It's got Muncie at 49, Indianapolis at 39. So and then that will plow through here somewhere in the, I would say, the noon to 2 p.m. time frame we'll really see this sudden blast down in temperatures. And then as we move into the overnight hours, um, then we'll begin to see us drop below freezing somewhere in the, a little bit either side of midnight, 11 a.m. to, or 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then we'll be in the 20s in the morning. So that's kind of the way things are looking right now. And if anything changes, I will update you. We'll just have to kind of see, again, these strong convective systems. You can't always predict exactly where that energy is going to decide to release itself. So just keep in mind some more rainfall going on. Warmth will last until probably late morning, early afternoon, and then temperatures will suddenly plunge. And then we'll be watching for some minorly impactful snowfall in the evening and into the overnight hours. So this is Michael Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. Have a great day.